So I think it's important to remember that your career is, you know, a big journey. It's going to evolve and change, and you'll probably end up doing things that you didn't expect to be doing when you started. But that it's always important to be passionate about what you're doing. And if you start to, you know, become a bit dissatisfied, maybe it's time to move in a different direction, and then that's absolutely fine. So I think it's, you know, like you say, constantly important to keep looking at new inspiration, you know, keep developing yourself, and as you develop as a person, you know, your career will probably change direction.
Yeah, and it's as you said, it's a journey. So we want to go on a journey that we enjoy. So make it feel like it's full of discoveries, it's full of excitement and fun. So don't struggle with things that you don't enjoy. I think that's a very important lesson to learn.
Yeah, I think that's really important too. I think, speaking of like kind of struggle and stuff, I think it's also really important to play to your personal strengths instead of trying to force yourself into something that, you know, isn't necessarily for you. You know, for example, when I graduated, I didn't realise that kind of like being able to talk about what you do very passionately and explain your ideas was a really big strength and a, you know, kind of a skill in itself. And I realised a few months down the line that it's actually something that is really invaluable if you use it instead of just neglecting it. You know, in a similar way that making something amazing on a piece of software to send out and inspire people with is another skill. So I think, you know, you should play to what you feel most comfortable with, because, you know, it's going to develop your career instead of trying to do something that you think someone else might want you to do. Because at the end of the day, it's, you know, it's you that's living, you know, and working in your lifestyle. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's something I feel like you have to study yourself. It's a lot of people forget that, but they keep on learning about famous artists and how they did things in their life. But it's actually one of the most crucial things you need to spend time on first, is to understand how you work the best. And studying yourself, I mean, like even simple things like whether you are more creative in the evening or in the morning, whether you are a morning person or like a night owl who can work better at night or later in the evening. And it's also, what you said is really interesting. Like I think another trap that people fall into, especially creatives, they think that being secluded and working on their own and like trying to come up with a masterpiece is what they're trying to do. But actually hoarding your work and keeping onto it and holding onto it is very unhealthy as a creative. You have to share, and the best thing to do is to share daily, no matter what you do, even if it's just a simple little sketch, or like if you are doing copy, if you just wrote a line, even that. Just share it out and see what the reaction of people will be, and from that you can move on and you can really use that as a springboard.
Yeah, definitely. I think initially it can be quite intimidating, especially as a, you know, a young designer or artist, to share things if you don't feel like they're quite there or quite perfect. But the feedback that you gain from that is kind of, like you say, invaluable, and it will save you a lot of time in the long run, you know, understanding what aspects of your work are really working for people and, you know, what kind of aren't. And I think it's, you know, really important to just not panic about what you're sharing, and, you know, even your like career in general, you know, don't waste too much time thinking, am I doing the right thing or the wrong thing? Because you'll spend too much time worrying and trying to do everything, when actually if you just focus on one thing, you never know where it's going to lead. So I think it's really important, yeah, to just not panic.
Yeah, definitely. And also similarly, you should never get stuck on one project and try to refine and refine and refine until you feel like, okay, now it's finished. Because if you are like that, you will never feel like it's finished, and you will always feel like, okay, I need to make it better, I need to do a little bit more of this, a little bit more of that, and you can easily get like stuck in that cycle. And so I think, especially when you like graduate and you start working as a creative, it's very important to produce a volume of work instead of creating like the perfect masterpiece again. So even if you don't finish something, even if you just stop halfway and you know that you could do it better, start something new. and keep producing a volume of work, share it, and then from that you will learn more than to try to like really to the 100% or even beyond that, because that's not going to teach you much. Of course, sometimes you can do that as well, but it's more important to focus on producing a volume.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think, you know, if you do feel frustrated with the fact that you feel like something isn't exactly perfect, I think it's just important to remember that that's actually a really good thing, because it means that you still want to keep developing and learning and changing. And like we say, you know, your career is a journey. So if you're not creating things that are perfect, that's actually a really good thing.
When you call yourself an amateur in something, that's going to actually make you free, because you don't feel like you are a professional and you have to get it right all the time. So try to have that attitude that you are an amateur. Even if you are good at something, you call yourself an amateur, and then you will feel more free to try out different things, and again, not to be shy to share what you create. So, and that's, I think, is a healthy attitude that creatives should have.
Yeah, that's a really cool piece of advice. Yeah.